Hello there, and welcome to The Sleepy Scholar. Tonight's journey takes us inward, returning from the distant stars to the magnificent blue sphere we call home, the wondrous world of Earth. We begin by looking down at our own feet, and then zooming out until the ground becomes a grand sphere suspended in the velvet quiet of space. Our home, Earth, is far more than just rock and water. It is an ancient vessel that has carried life through the cold vastness of the cosmos for over 4.5 billion years. It is a silent storyteller, its history written in deep layers of stone and ice, recording eons of slow change that happen on timescales almost too grand for us to truly comprehend. In the rush of our daily lives, it is easy to forget that we are riding on a magnificent blue pearl, spinning flawlessly on its axis, held in a perfect, unending embrace by the gravity of our sun. Tonight, we will gently explore the marvels of this planetary cradle. We will drift over its deepest oceans, where secrets are kept in total darkness, and we will float high above its clouds, watching the weather systems that circulate life-giving water around the globe. We will see how the Earth breathes through its forests and how it slowly reshapes itself through the patient grind of tectonic plates. It is a world of stunning balance, a place where immensely powerful forces work together in a quiet harmony to create the only known sanctuary for life in the universe. Let the immensity of our shared home offer you a sense of grounding and peace as we travel its majestic landscapes together. If you enjoy these quiet explorations, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps other curious minds find a place to rest. But for now, get comfortable. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let's begin. The moon was likely formed from a massive ancient collision. In the very early youth of our planet, when it was still molten and forming its true character, it is believed to have danced closely with another Mars-sized body, often called Theia. These two wandering worlds met in a tremendous earth-shaping event that changed their destinies forever, merging their materials and sending a vast cloud of debris into orbit around the young Earth. Rather than a moment of destruction, this was truly a moment of creation. Over time, that glowing ring of debris coalesced quietly under its own gravity to form the silvery moon that now lights our night skies. It is a beautiful reminder that even the most intense moments in history can settle into a lasting, peaceful equilibrium, leaving us with a steady companion that gently pushes and pulls our ocean tides in a rhythmic, unending cycle. Earth was born from a swirling cloud of stardust. Long before there were blue oceans or green forests, our solar system was nothing more than a vast, cold cloud of gas and dust, drifting quietly through the dark. Over unfathomable stretches of time, gravity began its patient work, gently pulling these tiny grains together into larger and larger clumps, forming the seeds of future worlds. It was a chaotic yet magnificent ballet of matter, where countless smaller bodies merged in a slow, grand accumulation to eventually build the planet we rest upon tonight. This process was not a sudden event, but a slow, deliberate gathering of ancient materials that had traveled across the galaxy to find their place here. We are, in a very literal sense, made of this ancient stardust, intricately connected to the deepest history of the cosmos itself, resting on a world built by patience and gravity. Our home is roughly 4.5 billion years old. To speak the age of the Earth is to speak of timescales that defy our usual human understanding, a vast ocean of time where centuries are mere ripples on the surface. Geologists have patiently read this age in the oldest rocks and in meteorites that fell to Earth, using the steady, predictable decay of radioactive elements as a cosmic clock that never stops ticking. This immense span of time means that everything we know, every mountain range that has ever risen and worn away, every ocean that has opened and closed, has happened thousands of times over in a slow, majestic rhythm. Resting here now, we are held by a world that has seen more than we can imagine, a wise and ancient traveler that provides a stable, enduring platform for our comparatively fleeting moments of existence. The Earth is not a perfect sphere, but slightly wider at its equator. While we often imagine the Earth as a flawless marble suspended in space, the physics of its endless rotation have given it a more unique and dynamic shape over billions of years. Because it spins tirelessly around its axis, centrifugal forces gently push outward at the middle, causing the planet to bulge slightly at the equator and flatten just a little at the poles. This shape, known technically as an oblate spheroid, is a testament to the fluidity of our world over deep time, showing that even solid rock will slowly yield to the persistent forces of motion. It is a subtle imperfection that makes the Earth more real, a dynamic body responding constantly to the grand physical laws of the universe, spinning contentedly in its slightly widened shape. Deep beneath our feet lies a solid heart of iron and nickel. If we could journey thousands of miles downward, past the rocky crust and the churning mantle, we would reach the very center of our world, a place of immense pressure and heat. Here resides the inner core, a solid sphere composed mostly of iron and nickel, incredibly hot yet kept solid by the crushing weight of the entire planet resting upon it. This dense metallic heart is roughly the size of the moon, spinning silently in the utter darkness of the deep earth, far removed from the sun and winds of the surface. It is the planet's stabilizing anchor, a heavy, enduring center that has remained steadfast for billions of years, grounding us and generating the invisible forces that reach out to protect the fragile life far above. Invisible lines of magnetic force wrap the Earth in a protective cocoon, surrounding our planet. Far out into the blackness of space is a vast, invisible shield known as the magnetosphere, generated by the slow churning motion of molten iron in Earth's outer core. This silent guardian acts like a grand deflector, meeting the constant stream of energetic particles from the sun, the solar wind, and gently guiding them around our planet, much like a boulder diverts the flowing water of a stream. Without this magnetic embrace, Earth's upper atmosphere and surface would be far more exposed to the solar wind and high-energy particles, making our world a much harsher place for life. It is a comforting thought to know we are constantly shielded by these grand, silent forces, wrapped safely in a protective bubble that allows our diverse biosphere to flourish in peace. We are all spinning at roughly 1,000 miles per hour right now. Even though we feel perfectly still while resting in our beds, the ground beneath us is carrying us eastward at incredible speeds as the Earth completes its daily rotation. At the equator, this speed reaches roughly 1,000 miles per hour, a relentless, steady motion that has continued without pause since the planet's formation. Yet because everything around us, the atmosphere, the oceans, and the ground itself, moves together in perfect unison, we feel nothing but a gentle stillness. It is a marvelous illusion of stability, reminding us that we can be in swift, powerful motion and yet feel completely at peace, securely held by gravity as our massive world carries us effortlessly through the day and into the night. Earth travels through space faster than any jet ever built. beyond our daily spin, our entire planet is also sailing along a vast elliptical path around the Sun, moving at an astonishing average speed of about 67,000 miles per hour. We're effectively passengers on a majestic spaceship that covers nearly 2 million miles every single day, voyaging through a new region of space with every passing second. Despite this immense velocity, the journey is incredibly smooth. There is no turbulence in the vacuum of space, only the quiet, unimpeded glide of our world, following the curvature of space-time created by the Sun. We can rest easy, knowing that this grand voyage is perfectly stable, a predictable and endless loop that ensures the reliable return of our seasons year after year. Earth orbits in a rare, calm region where liquid water can freely exist. Astronomers often refer to Earth's specific distance from the Sun as the Goldilocks zone, a wonderfully balanced region that is neither too hot nor too cold, but just right for life as we know it. If we were slightly closer to our star, our oceans might boil away into steam. If we were slightly further out, they might freeze into solid ice, locking the world in eternal winter. Instead, we occupy a fortunate cradle of temperate warmth, allowing vast blue oceans to remain liquid and circulate around the globe, acting as the essential solvent for all living chemistry. It is a delicate cosmic balance that has been maintained for eons, a gentle orbital embrace that keeps our world soft, welcoming, and vibrantly alive in a largely harsh universe. The air we breathe is mostly gentle nitrogen, not oxygen. When we take a deep, relaxing breath, we often think only of the oxygen that sustains us, but our atmosphere is actually a grand mixture dominated by nitrogen, which makes up about 78% of the air. This abundant, stable gas acts as a gentle buffer, diluting the highly reactive oxygen to safe levels and preventing fires from burning uncontrollably across the planet's surface. It also plays a crucial, quiet role in the cycles of life, slowly entering the soil to nourish plants that in turn nourish everything else. Our atmosphere is a perfectly mixed, invisible blanket that not only provides us breath, but also insulates us, keeping the surface warm and diffusing harsh sunlight into the soft, scattered blue sky we see every day. Nearly all weather happens in a very thin layer of air near the ground. Although the atmosphere extends hundreds of miles upward, thinning slowly into space. Almost every cloud, every rainstorm, and every gentle breeze we ever experience occurs in the lowest layer, called the troposphere. This layer is surprisingly thin compared to the size of the Earth, extending only about 5 to 9 miles up from the surface. Yet it contains the vast majority of the atmosphere's mass and water vapor. It is a dynamic, ever-changing skin of air, where warm currents rise and cool currents sink in a continuous global effort to balance temperatures. We live our entire lives comfortably nestled at the bottom of this shallow, churning ocean of air, watching the grand theatre of weather play out just above our heads. The Earth's surface is broken into giant, slowly moving puzzle pieces. The solid ground we build our cities upon is not a single, unbroken shell, but rather a collection of immense tectonic plates that float upon the hotter, softer mantle below. These plates are locked in a majestic, incredibly slow dance, drifting across the globe at about the same speed that human fingernails grow. Over millions of years, this patient movement causes continents to drift apart, creating new oceans or gently collide, folding solid rock upward to build towering mountain ranges like the Himalayas. It is the Earth slowly reshaping itself, a living, dynamic process that ensures the surface never becomes truly stagnant, constantly refreshing the land and recycling old seafloors back into the deep, warm interior. Over 70% of our world is covered by a single, connected world ocean. From the vantage point of deep space, Earth does not look like a world of rock, but a brilliant blue marble swirled with white clouds, dominated by the immense expanse of its interconnected oceans. These vast bodies of water are the planet's great heat regulators, absorbing the intense energy of the sun during the day and slowly releasing it at night, keeping global temperatures relatively stable and comfortable. They are unimaginably deep and wide, containing over 96% of all Earth's water, a reservoir so massive that it has remained a permanent feature for billions of years. This abundance of water is what makes our home unique in the solar system, a soft blue oasis drifting in a predominantly dry and dusty neighborhood. Only a tiny fraction of Earth's water is fresh and accessible to us. Despite the overwhelming abundance of water that paints our planet blue, nearly all of it is salty. Ocean water, unsuitable for drinking or watering our crops directly. Only about 2.5 to 3% of all water on Earth is fresh water, and the vast majority of that is locked away silently in massive ice sheets and glaciers near the poles, or hidden deep underground in varying aquifers. This means that all the rivers, all the freshwater lakes, and all the rain clouds we see represent just a tiny sliver of the planet's total moisture. It is a precious, finite resource that circles endlessly through the water cycle, a gentle reminder of how delicately the Earth provides exactly what we need in just the right amounts. Every rock you see is part of an endless, slow-motion cycle of change. Rocks may seem permanent and unchanging to our hurried eyes, but on geological timescales, they are fluid and transient, constantly being made and unmade. An igneous rock formed from cooling lava might eventually be broken down by wind and rain into tiny grains of sand, which then settle at the bottom of a quiet sea to become sedimentary rock over millions of years. Eventually, deep heat and pressure might transform it yet again into metamorphic rock before it melts back into magma to begin the grand journey once more. This magnificent rock cycle is the Earth's way of recycling its own skin, a patient, unending process that ensures nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed into something new and equally beautiful. The planet leans slightly on its axis, giving us the rhythm of the seasons. As Earth travels its great annual path around the Sun, it does not stand perfectly upright, but leans at an angle of about 23.5 degrees. This steady, unchanging tilt means that different parts of the globe receive varying amounts of direct sunlight throughout the year as we orbit. It is this simple, elegant slant that orchestrates the grand transition from the dormant quiet of winter to the bursting life of spring, the warm abundance of summer, and the cool settling of autumn. We owe the beautiful, predictable variety of our year to this fortunate celestial posture, a permanent lean that ensures no part of our world remains locked in the same season forever. We only ever see one face of our moon from Earth. If you look up at the moon night after night, you will always see the same familiar craters and dark seas looking back at you. This is because, over eons, Earth's gravity has slowed the moon's spin until it became tidally locked, meaning it takes exactly the same amount of time to spin once on its axis as it does to orbit our planet. It spins in perfect synchronization with its path around us, keeping one side permanently turned away, hiding its mysterious far side from our direct view. It is a sign of the deep gravitational bond between the two bodies, a harmonious celestial dance where partners face each other constantly as they move together through space. Life exists in a surprisingly thin envelope around the planet. While the Earth is massive, the actual zone where life thrives, known as the biosphere, is incredibly thin compared to the planet as a whole, like the delicate skin on an apple. From the deepest ocean trenches to the highest mountain peaks where hardy bacteria can still survive, this zone is only about 12 miles thick. It is a fragile, miraculous layer where rock, water, and air interact just perfectly to support everything from microscopic algae to giant redwood forests. We all share this thin, precious living space, a rare sanctuary of complexity and awareness, clinging tenaciously to the surface of a rocky world as it hurtles through the cosmos. A massive, slow-moving river of seawater circulates around the entire globe. Hidden beneath the waves is a grand system of deep ocean circulation, often called the global conveyor belt, driven by subtle differences in water temperature and saltiness. Cold, dense water near the poles sinks slowly to the abyss and travels toward the equator, while warm surface waters move poleward to replace it, creating a continuous loop that takes about 1,000 years to complete one full circuit. This immense, silent movement of water helps regulate the planet's climate, distributing heat from the sun-drenched tropics to the colder regions of the world. It is the Earth's own internal heating and cooling system, working tirelessly in the dark depths to keep the global environment stable and balanced for life above. Solar storms paint magnificent curtains of light near Earth's poles. When charged particles from the sun reach our planet, they are mostly deflected by our magnetic field, but some are funneled toward the north and south magnetic poles. As these energetic particles crash into the gases of our upper atmosphere, they cause the air itself to glow, creating the breathtaking auroras, the northern and southern lights. These shimmering ribbons of green, violet, and red light slowly dance across the polar skies in absolute silence, a visual manifestation of invisible cosmic forces interacting with our protective air. It is one of nature's most peaceful and hypnotic spectacles, a gentle reminder of the dynamic relationship between our quiet home planet and the powerful star that lights our days. The largest desert on Earth is actually the icy continent of Antarctica. When we think of deserts, our minds usually drift to endless expanses of sun-baked sand and shimmering heat, places where rain is a rare and treasured visitor. Yet, a desert is simply defined by a lack of precipitation, and by this measure, the vast white expanse of Antarctica is the largest desert on our entire planet, and one of the driest places anywhere on Earth. In some of its interior valleys, known as the dry valleys, precipitation is astonishingly rare. There may have been almost no liquid water there for millions of years, leaving the rocky ground bare and incredibly preserved in the cold, arid air. It is a land of supreme stillness and silence, where moisture is locked away in ancient ice sheets miles deep, creating a frozen landscape that is as parched as the Sahara. This counterintuitive truth reminds us that nature often defies our simple expectations, creating environments of breathtaking icy beauty that are technically as dry as dust. The Earth's daily rotation is very slowly breaking to a halt. In the distant past, when the oceans were young, a day on Earth was much shorter than the 24 hours we enjoy now, perhaps only 6 to 10 hours long. Over billions of years, the relentless gravitational tug of the moon on our oceans has created tidal bulges that act like a gentle, persistent brake on the planet's spin. This means that every century, our days get roughly 1.7 milliseconds longer, a change so unimaginably gradual that no single generation could ever notice it. We are living in a long, slow exhale of planetary energy, drifting imperceptibly toward a far distant future, where days and nights will stretch much longer than they do now. It is a comforting thought that even the fundamental rhythm of day and night is not rigid, but part of a vast, relaxing evolution of cosmic movement. Our planet constantly generates a faint, low-frequency hum. Even in its quietest moments, far from any city or storm, the Earth itself is never truly silent. It sings a continuous ultra-low frequency song that is far too deep for human ears to hear. This mysterious planetary hum is believed to be caused by the ceaseless, rhythmic pounding of ocean waves against the continental shelves all over the world, creating a subtle vibration that rings through the solid crust. It is as if the Earth is a giant bell that is always slightly ringing, resonating with the energy of its own moving waters in an eternal quiet symphony. This incessant, gentle vibration is a sign of a living, geologically active world, a steady background pulse that has been accompanying the journey of life since the very beginning, unnoticed but ever present. The fluffy white clouds floating above us are astonishingly heavy. We often look up at calm, fair-weather cumulus clouds, drifting lazily across the blue sky, and imagine them to be as light as cotton wool or dandelion seeds. In reality, a typical medium-sized cumulus cloud can weigh roughly 1 million pounds, which is about the same massive weight as 100 fully grown elephants suspended silently in the air. They do not fall because the immense weight of their water droplets is spread out over such a vast area, allowing warm, rising currents of air from the ground to easily cradle them aloft. It is a marvelous display of natural levitation, where immense tons of water float peacefully above our heads, disguised as soft, insubstantial pillows that paint the sky with gentle, shifting shapes. Life thrives in the deepest, darkest, crushing depths of the ocean. For a long time, it was believed that the utter darkness and immense pressure of the deep ocean floor was a barren wasteland where nothing could possibly survive. Yet in these abyssal plains, we have found vibrant oases of life clustered around hydrothermal vents, where superheated mineral-rich water gushes from beneath the Earth's crust. Here, entire ecosystems exist without ever knowing the warmth of the sun, relying instead on unique bacteria that turn chemicals from the Earth's interior into lasting energy. It is a profound testament to the tenacity of life, showing that even in the coldest, darkest places imaginable, warmth and energy can be found, creating hidden sanctuaries of life that flourish in complete isolation from the world above. The Earth possesses a self-healing layer of protective ozone high in the sky. High above the clouds, in the calm reaches of the stratosphere, lies a thin veil of ozone gas that acts as Earth's natural sunscreen, absorbing the harsher ultraviolet rays from the sun before they reach the ground. There was a time when human activity thinned this vital layer, creating concerning gaps over the poles, but nature has shown a remarkable capacity for recovery when given the chance. Slowly, steadily, and silently, this invisible shield has been mending itself, molecule by molecule, as atmospheric chemistries drift back toward their natural balance. It serves as a hopeful, quiet reminder of our planet's inherent resilience, its ability to restore its own delicate protective systems if we simply step back and allow it the time and space to heal. There are vast, hidden continents submerged beneath the oceans. We are accustomed to the familiar map of 7 major continents, but geologists have discovered that other great land masses lie resting quietly beneath the waves. One such example is Zealandia, a massive, mostly submerged continent about 2/3 the size of Australia, with only its highest mountain peaks poking above the water to form the islands of New Zealand and New Caledonia. These lost lands have been hidden for tens of millions of years, their plains and valleys mapped only by sonar and satellites, existing in the silent, dark depths of the sea. It opens the imagination to realize that the Earth we see is only a fraction of what is really there, with vast, secret territories sleeping just out of sight, waiting patiently to be fully understood. Rainforests are so vast they create their own weather systems. The immense tropical rainforests, like the Amazon, are not just passive recipients of rain. They are active, breathing engines that help generate the very moisture that sustains them. Through a process called transpiration, the billions of trees release vast amounts of water vapor from their leaves back into the atmosphere, forming thick clouds that will eventually return the water as fresh rain. This beautiful, self-sustaining cycle means that a single molecule of water might fall as rain, be absorbed by a root, travel up a towering trunk, and be released back into the sky multiple times without ever leaving the forest. It is a magnificent example of planetary cooperation, where living things and the inanimate air work together in a closed loop of nourishment and life. Dust from the Sahara Desert travels across the ocean to feed the Amazon. In a grand, invisible connection between distant continents, tiny grains of nutrient-rich dust are lifted by winds from the dry basins of the Sahara Desert in Africa. These immense plumes of dust drift peacefully westward across the entire Atlantic Ocean, a silent, airborne river of minerals sailing high above the waves. When this dust finally settles over South America, it acts as a vital natural fertilizer, replenishing the phosphorus and other nutrients that the lush Amazon rainforest needs to continue thriving. It is awe-inspiring to think that the world's greatest desert directly nourishes its greatest forest, a poetic bond linking two complete opposites in a delicate global dance of wind and life. Glaciers are actually rivers of ice that flow incredibly slowly. Though they look like solid, immovable features of the mountains, glaciers are actually dynamic, moving bodies of ice that behave very much like extremely slow rivers. Under the immense weight of their own accumulated snow, the ice crystals deep within the glacier deform and slide past one another, allowing the entire frozen mass to creep downhill inches or feet per day. This patient, relentless movement has incredible power, slowly carving out vast U-shaped valleys and grinding solid mountain peaks into fine rock flour over thousands of years. They are nature's sculptors, working on timescales that require immense patience, reshaping the rough edges of the world into smooth, grand landscapes while we sleep. The deepest point on Earth is farther down than Everest is tall. If you were to take Mount Everest and place it gently into the Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean, its summit would still be over a mile beneath the surface of the waves. This deepest part of the world, known as the Challenger Deep, plunges nearly 7 miles into the Earth's crust, a realm of perpetual midnight where the pressure is 1,000 times greater than at sea level. It is a place of profound, undisturbed stillness, where pristine sediment settles slowly over millions of years, untouched by the storms and chaos of the surface world. This ultimate abyss reminds us of the sheer scale of our home, harboring places of quiet mystery that are as remote and difficult to reach as the surface of another planet. Our planet is constantly pulsing with lightning storms. At any given moment, day or night, there are roughly 2,000 thunderstorms active somewhere around the globe, creating a continuous rhythm of electrical discharge. This means that lightning strikes the Earth about 100 times every single second, a relentless flickering pulse of energy that helps maintain the planet's global electrical circuit. From far above in space, this would not look chaotic, but rather like a gentle, sparkling web of tiny lights, continuously dancing across the cloud tops, mostly over the warm equatorial regions. It is the Earth's natural way of balancing its electrical charges, a ceaseless, quiet background energy that has been flickering harmlessly since the atmosphere first formed. Deep caves can breathe in and out as atmospheric pressure changes. Scattered across the world are vast underground cavern systems that act almost like huge, rocky lungs, connected to the surface by small openings or entrances. When the air pressure on the surface changes due to weather systems, these caves will either inhale air to equalize the pressure or gently exhale it back out, sometimes creating a noticeable, steady breeze at the cave mouth. This breathing can be so rhythmic and powerful that in ancient times, these spots were often considered sacred places where the earth spirit itself was alive. It is a gentle, natural respiration, showing us that even the solid, rocky interior of our planet is connected dynamically to the light, shifting air of the sky above. The magnetic North Pole is always slowly drifting. We tend to think of north as a fixed, unchanging direction, but the magnetic pole that our compasses point to is actually a wanderer, never staying in exactly the same spot. Driven by the complex, churning flows of molten iron deep in Earth's outer core, the magnetic North Pole has been slowly migrating from the Canadian Arctic towards Siberia for decades. This patient journey happens quietly and without fanfare, a subtle reminder that the forces generating our protective shield are fluid and alive, not static and frozen. We are effectively living on a giant, slowly shifting gyroscope, where even the most fundamental reference points on our maps are subject to the gentle drift of deep time. We have found fossilized imprints of ancient raindrops. In certain rare and quiet geological formations, scientists have discovered incredibly delicate impressions left by raindrops that fell millions of years ago. These tiny craters were formed when rain fell gently onto soft, fine mud, which then dried out and was quickly buried by more sediment, preserving the exact moment of that ancient weather forever in solid stone. It is a breathtakingly intimate connection to the deep past, allowing us to see not just the grand movements of continents, but a fleeting, quiet afternoon shower that happened long before humans walked the earth. It reminds us that the soft, familiar sound of rain on soil is an experience that has been shared by our planet for practically its entire history. Most of the life on Earth is hidden within the oceans. While we are surrounded by a vibrant world of land animals and plants, the sheer volume of the oceans means they contain the vast majority of the planet's living space, over 90% of it. From the sunlit surface waters teeming with microscopic plankton to the dark, quiet depths inhabited by slow-moving giants, the ocean is the true cradle and reservoir of life on Earth. We are essentially land-dwelling outliers on a water world, living on the dry fringes of the main stage where the grandest diversity of life swims and drifts in weightless comfort. It is humbling to realize that the greatest story of life is currently unfolding beneath the waves, in a vast, three-dimensional kingdom we rarely see. Tall mountain ranges have deep roots extending into the crust. Just as an iceberg floats with most of its mass hidden beneath the water, massive mountain ranges like the Himalayas or the Andes float on the Earth's denser mantle with deep, rocky roots. For every mile of mountain towering into the sky, there might be 5 or 6 miles of continental crust, pushing deep down into the hot, pliable rock below to support that immense weight. This principle, known as isostasy, keeps the Earth's surface in a state of gentle, floating balance, ensuring that these heavy peaks do not simply sink away. It means that the majestic mountains we admire are just the visible tips of immense, floating structures that are anchored securely in the deep, warm foundations of the planet. Tiny ocean plants produce most of the air we breathe. While we often thank the rainforest for our oxygen, the true lungs of our planet are actually microscopic, single-celled ocean plants called phytoplankton, including beautiful glass-shell diatoms. These countless tiny organisms drift in the sunlit upper layers of the world's oceans, quietly harvesting sunlight and releasing huge amounts of oxygen as a byproduct of their continued existence. It is estimated that roughly half of the oxygen in our atmosphere comes from these invisible sea gardens, meaning that every other breath you take was likely made by creatures you can't even see. It is a magnificent example of how the smallest, quietest things can have the largest impact, sustaining the breath of every large creature on land. From deep space, Earth appears only as a pale blue dot. When the Voyager 1 spacecraft turned around to take one last picture of home from nearly 4 billion miles away, Earth appeared as a tiny, almost indistinguishable speck of soft blue light suspended in a scattered ray of sunlight. From that great distance, all our vast oceans, our towering mountains, and our sprawling cities blend into a single, fragile pixel of color against the endless dark. It is perhaps the most humbling image ever captured, a silent testament to the smallness of our shared world in the grand theater of the universe. That tiny blue dot is everything we have ever known, a solitary, precious oasis of life that deserves our utmost gentleness and protection as it sails through the void. When the North Pole tilts toward the Sun, the South Pole tilts away. The Earth's reliable tilt ensures a perfect, continuous balance of seasons across the globe. There is never a time when the entire world is in winter or summer at once, as the Northern Hemisphere leans into the warmth of its summer days. The Southern Hemisphere leans back into the cool, quiet rest of its winter, and 6 months later, they gently swap roles. This eternal seesaw of energy means that at any given moment, half the world is awakening to new life, while the other half is settling down to sleep. It is a harmonious planetary rhythm of activity and rest, ensuring that the Earth is never overwhelmed, always maintaining a balanced cycle of growth and dormancy year after year. Over long geological periods, Earth's magnetic poles slowly swap places. While we rely on our compasses always pointing north, the Earth's magnetic field is actually a restless, dynamic feature that has completely reversed its polarity hundreds of times over its long history. In a process that takes thousands of years to complete, the magnetic north slowly weakens, meanders across the equator, and eventually re-establishes itself at the geographic South Pole, while the South Pole does the opposite. These grand reversals are not sudden catastrophes, but slow, majestic pirouettes that happen on timescales far longer than human civilization, recorded silently in the varying magnetic alignments of ancient seafloor rocks. It is a reminder that even the most fundamental constants of our planet, north and south, are part of a much larger, slower rhythm of change that has been quietly cycling for billions of years without disturbing the life above. There is a distinct, deeply pleasant scent that follows a gentle rain. After a long dry spell, the first light rain is often accompanied by a rich, earthy aroma that many people find wonderfully soothing and nostalgic. This scent, known scientifically as petrichor, is actually created by a combination of plant oils released into the air and a compound called geosmin, which is produced by harmless bacteria sleeping in the soil. When raindrops hit the dry ground, they trap tiny air bubbles that fizz upward like champagne, releasing these aromatic aerosols into the breeze to be carried to our waiting noses. It is a beautiful chemical conversation between the sky and the ground, a fragrant signal that tells every living thing that refreshing water has finally returned to the thirsty earth. Earth's atmosphere technically extends far beyond the moon. We usually think of space beginning just 100 miles or so above our heads, where the air becomes too thin to breathe. However, a very faint, tenuous cloud of hydrogen atoms, known as the geocorona, extends from our planet nearly 390,000 miles into space, enveloping our moon in a ghostly celestial hug. This means that when astronauts traveled to the moon, they never truly left the outermost reaches of Earth's influence. They were still flying through the very thinnest wisps of our home world. It blurs the boundary between Earth and space, showing us that our planet does not end abruptly, but rather fades gently and gradually into the vast cosmic environment that surrounds it. Even the most powerful storms have a center of total peace. In the heart of a massive tropical cyclone, surrounded by towering walls of wind and rain, lies the eye, a circular region of stunning, almost surreal calmness. While the storm rages just miles away, the air within the eye is often perfectly still. The skies can be clear and blue, and birds may even be found resting there, carried along in this moving sanctuary. It is a profound natural paradox, demonstrating that even in the midst of the greatest turbulence, nature always maintains a quiet, stable center. This silent core serves as a powerful metaphor for finding our own inner stillness, a reminder that tranquility can exist safely right in the middle of chaos. Ancient pockets of water have been trapped underground for billions of years. Deep below the Earth's surface, isolated from the active water cycle of rain and evaporation, geologists have found pockets of water that have been untouched for over 2 billion years. These ancient reservoirs are hidden in the cracks and pores of deep continental rocks, preserving a pristine chemical snapshot of the world as it was when the Earth was barely half its current age. In these dark, silent depths, time effectively stands still, holding this primordial water in a state of perfect, undisturbed rest, while continents shift and mountain ranges rise and fall far above. It is humbling to think that just beneath our feet may lie undisturbed droplets of water that are older than almost all complex life on our planet. The continents periodically merge into a single, massive supercontinent. The slow dance of plate tectonics is not random, but seems to follow a grand, predictable cycle, where the world's land masses come together and break apart roughly every few 100 million years. We know of past supercontinents like Pangaea, vast singular landmasses surrounded by a global ocean, where one could theoretically walk from the South Pole to the North Pole without ever getting their feet wet. These immense gatherings of land eventually rift apart again, sending fragments drifting slowly across the globe to form the scattered continents we know today, only to inevitably begin the long journey back together in the far distant future. It is a majestic, rhythmic breathing of the Earth's crust, a cycle of unity and separation that plays out over timescales that dwarf human history. Under the right conditions, the setting sun can flash green. Just as the sun dips below the absolute flat horizon of the ocean, a rare and beautiful optical phenomenon known as the green flash can sometimes be seen for barely a second or two. As the sun's light travels through the thickest possible layer of Earth's atmosphere at the horizon, the air acts like a giant prism, bending and separating the colors of the light. The red and orange wavelengths are bent less and disappear first, leaving a fleeting, brilliant pulse of emerald green light as the very last farewell of the day. It is a magical blink and you miss it moment that rewards patient watchers, a gentle wink from the physics of light to mark the final transition from day into peaceful night. There is a vast, deep biosphere living miles inside solid rock. We tend to think life only exists on the surface, but an incredible abundance of microscopic life lives deep inside the Earth's rocky crust, far deeper than we ever imagined possible. These hardy microbes live in the tiny, dark pores of rocks miles underground, enduring immense heat and pressure, and metabolizing at incredibly slow rates, sometimes only dividing once every 100 or even 1,000 years. They live in a state of near suspended animation, a vast, silent kingdom of life that outweighs all the humans on Earth combined, existing entirely independently of the sunlit world above. It redefines our understanding of Earth as a living planet, showing that it is inhabited not just on its skin, but deep into its solid, rocky flesh. Earth's orbit slowly changes its shape over thousands of years. The path our planet takes around the sun is not a perfect, unchanging circle, but a slightly elongated ellipse that slowly stretches and circularizes over a cycle of about 100,000 years. These gradual shifts, influenced by the subtle gravitational pulls of giant planets like Jupiter and Saturn, slightly alter the amount of solar energy different parts of the Earth receive over deep time. Known as Milankovitch cycles, these slow celestial rhythms are the grand pacemakers of the ice ages, gently nudging the planet into long periods of glacial cold and then pulling it back into warm interglacial periods, like the one we enjoy now. It is a majestic clockwork process that orchestrates the long-term climate history of our world without us ever feeling a thing. In very rare cases, the northern lights can make a sound. While the auroras are almost always a silent spectacle, experienced observers in vastly quiet northern landscapes have sometimes reported hearing faint sounds associated with intense displays. These sounds are described as gentle crackling, rustling, or soft clapping noises, occurring simultaneously with the dancing lights overhead, a phenomenon that was long thought to be an auditory illusion. Recent research suggests these eerie, delicate sounds are real, created by electrical disturbances near the ground that accompany the grand geomagnetic storm happening high above. It adds another layer of sensory wonder to the experience, a rare whisper from the cosmos that can only be heard when the world is absolutely still and quiet. Massive mountains have enough gravity to pull things sideways, We usually think of gravity only pulling us straight down toward the center of the Earth, but incredibly massive objects on the surface also have their own noticeable gravitational pull. During early surveying expeditions near large mountain ranges like the Andes or Himalayas, explorers found that their plumb lines, heavy weights on strings meant to hang perfectly straight down, were pulled slightly sideways toward the sheer mass of the nearby mountains. It is a subtle but beautiful demonstration of the universal law of gravity, showing that these towering giants of rock are so immensely heavy that they can gently bend the local vertical, asserting their majestic presence on the very physics of the area around them. Some parts of the Earth's crust have remained stable for billions of years, while much of the Earth's surface is constantly being recycled by volcanoes and tectonic activity. There are ancient, stable hearts of continents, known as cratons, that have survived almost unchanged since the planet's youth. These immense, thick rafts of buoyant rock, found in places like the Canadian Shield or Western Australia, have floated peacefully atop the churning mantle for over 3 billion years, weathering every storm and every geological era. They are the calm, enduring grandparents of the geological world, silent witnesses to almost the entire history of life on Earth, providing a stable, unshakable foundation for the younger lands that have grown around them. Much of Earth's water may have arrived as a gentle celestial rain. The early Earth was likely a very hot and dry place, raising the fascinating question of where all our abundant, life-giving water originally came from. Many scientists believe that a significant portion of our oceans was delivered later, carried here by a vast bombardment of icy comets and water-rich asteroids that rained down upon the young planet over millions of years. If this is true, every glass of water you drink contains ancient melted ice from the distant outer reaches of the solar system, billions of miles away. It means our oceans are truly a cosmic gift, a vast accumulation of celestial deliveries that slowly transformed a dry, rocky world into the shining blue jewel we know today. High above the weather, the stratosphere is always calm. If you have ever been in an airplane that climbed through turbulent clouds and suddenly broke through into perfectly smooth air, you have touched the edge of the stratosphere. This layer of the atmosphere, sitting just above the active weather of the troposphere, is highly stable because it gets warmer as you go higher, which prevents the churning vertical air currents that create storms. It is a realm of perpetual icy clarity, where the air is thin and dry, and where strong, steady horizontal winds blow smoothly around the globe without obstruction. It is a comforting blanket of stillness that sits permanently above the chaos of our daily weather, a high-altitude sanctuary of peace that is always there, just a few miles above the darkest storm clouds. Every grain of sand has a magnificent, long history. A quiet beach may seem like a simple collection of tiny, identical grains, but each individual particle of sand is a tiny geological masterpiece with its own epic story. That single grain might once have been part of a towering mountain peak that was slowly broken down by millions of years of rain and wind, then carried hundreds of miles by rushing rivers to the sea. Once there, it might have been tossed by ocean waves for thousands more years, slowly polished into the smooth, rounded jewel you now feel between your toes. Resting on a beach is effectively resting on the pulverized, gentle remains of ancient landscapes, a soft, shifting archive of the Earth's deep history. Earth reflects about 1/3 of all sunlight back into space. Our planet, does not absorb all the solar energy that hits it. It has a characteristic brightness, or albedo, that reflects roughly 30% of incoming light straight back out into the cosmos. This reflection is largely done by bright white clouds, vast ice sheets at the poles, and even light-colored deserts, all acting like giant mirrors that help keep the planet cool. This reflected light is what makes Earth shine so beautifully when seen from the moon, a soft, glowing beacon in the dark. It is a vital part of our planet's energy balance, a passive, gentle rejection of excess heat that helps maintain the temperate, comfortable climate we rely on for deep, restful sleep. Earth stayed warm even when the young sun was much dimmer. Billions of years ago, our sun was about 70% as bright as it is today, which theoretically should have left the early Earth frozen solid in a permanent ice age. Yet, geological evidence shows us that ancient Earth had liquid oceans and was warm enough for life to begin, a mystery known as the faint young sun paradox. It is believed that a thicker blanket of greenhouse gases in the ancient atmosphere acted as a cozy insulator, trapping just enough heat to compensate perfectly for the weaker sun. It shows how our planet has a remarkable, innate ability to self-regulate, finding ways to keep its cradle warm and hospitable, even when the star it orbits was still growing into its full strength. The speed of Earth's rotation changes slightly with the seasons. Our planet's daily spin is incredibly steady, but it is not perfectly constant. It speeds up and slows down by tiny fractions of a second, depending on the time of year. This subtle variance is largely caused by grand shifts in atmospheric winds and the seasonal melting and refreezing of massive ice and snow deposits, which redistribute weight around the globe gently enough to affect its spin, just as a figure skater spins faster when they pull their arms in. The Earth adjusts its rotation speed in response to moving masses of air and water. It is a beautiful sign of how interconnected the planet's systems are, where a winter snowstorm can ever so slightly change the length of a day for the entire world. Twilight has a special phase known as the blue hour. Before sunrise and just after sunset, there is a magical, fleeting period when the sun is far enough below the horizon that direct red and orange light cannot reach us, but soft, scattered blue light still fills the sky. This blue hour casts a serene, uniform, shadowless light over the landscape, turning the world into a calm, monochrome dreamscape of deep indigo and cool violets. It is a time revered by photographers and poets for its tranquil, almost otherworldly atmosphere, a brief daily pause between the energetic brightness of day and the true dark of night. It is nature's own quiet transitional period, a gentle visual cue that invites all living things to slow down and prepare for rest. Fossils of sea creatures can be found on the highest mountain peaks. If you were to climb to the towering snowy summits of the Himalayas, you might be surprised to find ancient, fossilized seashells embedded in the limestone rocks at the very top of the world. These fossils are the quiet remains of creatures that lived on a shallow, sunlit ocean floor tens of millions of years ago, long before the mountains ever existed. They were slowly lifted up, inch by inch, as tectonic plates collided and pushed the old seabed majestically into the sky, carrying the ocean's history to the clouds. It is a profound reminder of the fluidity of our Earth, where the lowest places can become the highest, given enough time, patience, and gentle, persistent pressure. Deep within the Earth's mantle lies a vast, hidden reservoir of water, hundreds of miles beneath our feet, far deeper than any ocean floor. Immense quantities of water are locked away inside the crystal structures of hot, high-pressure minerals like ringwoodite. This is not liquid water as we know it, sloshing around in underground caverns, but rather individual water molecules trapped silently within the solid rock itself, sweating out only under extreme conditions. Scientists estimate that this deep subterranean reservoir might contain amounts of water comparable to all the surface oceans combined, a secret second hydrosphere that has been hidden since the planet's formation. It is a comforting thought that our world is even wetter and more lush than it appears on the surface, holding vast reserves of life-giving moisture, safe in its deep, warm interior, slowly cycling it back to the surface over millions of years. Our planet sometimes captures temporary tiny second moons. While the silvery moon we know is our only permanent companion, Earth's gravity occasionally gently captures small passing asteroids, pulling them into temporary orbits before eventually releasing them back into the solar system. These mini-moons are often no larger than a car, silently circling our planet for a few months or years, unnoticed by anyone but the most dedicated astronomers. They are fleeting celestial visitors, quiet travelers that briefly share our journey around the sun before drifting away again on their own lonely paths. It paints a picture of Earth not just as a solitary planet, but as a welcoming gravitational harbor, occasionally hosting these tiny, wandering rocks in a brief, peaceful cosmic embrace before they continue their endless voyage. The sky is blue because the atmosphere gently scatters sunlight. The beautiful soft blue dome we see every clear day is not a solid object, but a marvelous trick of light interacting with countless tiny air molecules. As pure white sunlight enters our atmosphere, it collides with nitrogen and oxygen atoms, which prefer to scatter the shorter, bluer wavelengths of light in every direction, painting the entire sky with a diffuse azure glow. This phenomenon, known as Rayleigh scattering, effectively softens the harsh, direct light of the sun, turning the black void of space into a comfortable, luminous ceiling of color. It is a daily, silent light show that wraps the world in a gentle, calming hue, a reminder that the very air we breathe is constantly interacting with the energies of the cosmos to create beauty. The solid ground beneath us rises and falls like a slow ocean tide. We know well the rhythmic ebb and flow of ocean tides driven by the moon, but few realize that the solid crust of the Earth also responds to this same gravitational pull. Twice every day, the ground you are resting on rises roughly 12 inches and then slowly settles back down as the moon passes overhead, a movement so gentle and widespread that we never feel it. This Earth tide means the entire planet is softly flexing and breathing in response to its celestial companion, a rhythmic, elastic motion that has continued for billions of years. It shows that nothing on Earth is truly rigid. Even the hardest stone is part of a pliable, responsive system that is forever dancing with the moon in a slow, quiet rhythm. Billions of years ago, the sky slowly turned from orange to blue. In the very deep past, Earth's ancient atmosphere was likely a hazy orange due to high levels of methane, much like the moon Titan looks today. This all changed in a magnificent, slow-motion event known as the Great Oxidation, when early microscopic life began producing massive amounts of oxygen, eventually clearing the haze and giving us the transparent blue sky we know now. This was perhaps the longest, slowest sunrise in history, a gradual unveiling of the true colors of the world that took millions of years to complete. It is a testament to the incredible, terraforming power of even the simplest life, patiently reshaping the entire planet's appearance just by breathing over vast stretches of deep time. There are calm, distinct lakes resting on the bottom of the ocean. In certain deep places on the seafloor, explorers have discovered astonishing underwater lakes made of super salty brine that is so dense it does not mix with the surrounding seawater. These strange, silent pools have their own distinct shorelines, their own ripples, and even their own submarine waves that slowly lap against the surrounding sandy bottom, looking exactly like a peaceful surface lake. They are incredibly still places, undisturbed by the currents above, where ancient secrets can be preserved perfectly in the heavy, settled waters for thousands of years. It is a surreal, dreamlike landscape hidden in the absolute dark, a place where an ocean can exist inside another ocean, perfectly calm and forever separated by the simple physics of density. A deep layer of the ocean can carry quiet sounds for thousands of miles. Hidden at a specific depth, usually around half a mile down, is a remarkable zone known as the SOFAR channel, which acts like a giant global speaking tube for low-frequency sounds. In this unique layer, sound waves get trapped by varying water temperatures and pressures, allowing them to travel efficiently across entire ocean basins without fading away. It is believed that grand whales use this silent channel to sing to one another across thousands of miles of open water, their low, mournful calls carrying halfway around the globe. It is a beautiful image, a planet-sized communication network hidden in the dark depths, where gentle songs can travel unbroken from one continent to another in the quiet embrace of the deep sea. The distinct smell of the seaside comes from tiny ocean plants. That wonderfully fresh, bracing scent we always associate with the ocean coast, distinct from just salt and water, is largely created by a compound called dimethyl sulfide. It is released into the air by billions of microscopic sea creatures and plankton as they go about their daily lives, a biological signal that has perfumed the world's coastlines for eons. This scent is not just pleasant for us. It also acts as a crucial chemical signal for seabirds, guiding them across featureless miles of ocean to rich feeding grounds. It means that every time you breathe in that relaxing sea air, you are inhaling the faint, collective breath of the ocean's unimaginably vast microscopic gardens. Certain sand dunes can sing low, humming songs. In roughly 30 rare desert locations around the world, massive sand dunes have the mysterious ability to produce a deep, resonant humming or droning sound. When grains of uniquely shaped sand slide down the steep face of a dune in unison, they create vibrations that can sound like a low-flying airplane, a monk's chant, or a distant cello, sometimes lasting for several minutes. This singing sand is a purely natural acoustic phenomenon, a hypnotic voice that emerges only when the conditions of dryness and grain size are perfectly aligned. It is one of nature's most enchanting secrets, a reminder that even the driest, most barren landscapes have their own hidden music. If we listen closely enough in the silence, rare, iridescent clouds sometimes shine deeply into the night. High above the polar regions, in the intensely cold reaches of the stratosphere, rare nacreous clouds, also known as mother-of-pearl clouds, can sometimes form. Because they are so incredibly high up, they can catch the rays of the sun long after it has set for everyone on the ground, shining brightly in the dark twilight sky with breathtaking shimmering colors of pink, green, and violet. They look like giant, glowing opals suspended in the near void of space. A silent, ethereal light show that occurs only in the deepest quiet of polar winters. They are a beautiful reminder that even when our world is dark, sunlight is still streaming just overhead, waiting to be caught by these delicate icy drifters. Earth once experienced a deep, frozen sleep, known as Snowball Earth. Hundreds of millions of years ago, our planet likely entered a phase where it froze almost entirely from the poles to the equator, becoming a brilliant white ball of ice hurtling through space. During this immense multi-million-year winter, the oceans were sealed under thick sheets of ice, and the continents were buried under massive glaciers, creating a world of profound, utter stillness. Yet life did not end. It persisted quietly in small pockets of warmth near underwater volcanoes, waiting patiently for the grand geological cycle to turn again. It was a long, peaceful planetary hibernation that eventually ended when volcanic gases slowly warmed the world back up, leading to a magnificent explosion of new life in the subsequent thaw. The Earth wobbles very slightly as it spins, like a slowing top. Beyond its daily rotation and annual tilt, our planet also experiences a tiny, gentle wobble on its axis, known as the Chandler wobble. This minute variation means the North Pole wanders in a small, irregular circle roughly 20 to 30 feet wide over a period of about 14 months. It is a natural imperfection caused by shifting masses of air and water, and perhaps changes deep inside the Earth, showing that our planet's motion is dynamic and alive, not rigidly mechanical. We are all riding on a world that has a slight, gentle shimmy to its spin, a unique rhythmic signature that has been peacefully repeating for as long as we have been measuring it. Trees in grand forests can secretly talk to one another. Beneath the quiet forest floor lies a vast, intricate network of thin fungal threads that physically connect the roots of different trees, often called the Wood Wide Web. Through this hidden underground internet, trees can slowly share nutrients with those who are struggling, and even send silent chemical warnings to their neighbors about pests or droughts. It means a forest is not just a collection of individual trees competing for light, but a cooperative, connected community that looks out for its own, sharing resources in the dark, damp earth. It is a profoundly comforting thought that beneath every quiet hike we take, there is a bustling, supportive conversation happening just under our boots. It takes centuries to form just 1 inch of healthy soil. The fertile dark soil that grows our food and supports our forests is a precious skin that Earth builds with incredible patience. It can take anywhere from 100 to over 5,000 years for natural processes to break down bedrock, mix it with decaying organic matter, and create just a single inch of rich, life-supporting topsoil. This means the ground we walk on is effectively a deep archive of time, a grand accumulation of thousands of years of quiet work by weathering, tiny insects, and microscopic bacteria. It teaches us the true meaning of patience, revealing that the very foundation of life on land is built through one of the slowest, gentlest manufacturing processes on the planet. Diamonds are ancient messengers from the deep earth. Most natural diamonds we have ever found were forged hundreds of millions to billions of years ago in the crushing, intense heat of the Earth's mantle, roughly 100 miles below the surface. They waited there in the dark for eons before being carried rapidly to the surface by deep source volcanic eruptions, arriving as sparkling time capsules from an inaccessible realm. When you look at a diamond, you are looking at one of the oldest things you can ever touch, a pristine crystal that has survived a violent journey from the deep heart of the world to the calm light of day, They are enduring symbols of the immense pressures and vast timescales that quietly operate deep beneath the peaceful green surface of our world. There are regions of the ocean known for their profound calmness. Near the equator, where the trade winds from the north and south meet and neutralize each other, lies a region famously known to sailors as the doldrums. In these vast stretches of open ocean, the winds can disappear entirely for weeks at a time, leaving the sea surface as flat and smooth as a mirror, undisturbed by even the slightest ripple. It is a place of absolute, sometimes eerie tranquility, where sailing ships would simply drift helplessly in the immense quiet, waiting patiently for the atmosphere to breathe again. While frustrating for ancient sailors, it remains a powerful natural symbol of total stillness, a place where the restless energy of the world simply pauses and rests. Ice cores can perfectly preserve the air from thousands of years ago. In the deepest ice sheets of Antarctica and Greenland, snow that fell hundreds of thousands of years ago has been compressed into solid ice, trapping tiny bubbles of ancient air between the crystals. These microscopic bubbles are perfect time capsules, preserving pristine samples of Earth's atmosphere exactly as it was when mammoths walked the Earth or before human civilization began. By gently melting this ice, scientists can exhale this ancient air and study it, effectively breathing the same atmosphere that existed in the distant past. It is a miraculous form of natural memory, where the history of our air is frozen in quiet, stacked layers, waiting patiently to tell its story. The vast majority of our planet exists in eternal, total darkness, because sunlight can only penetrate a few hundred feet into the ocean. The deep sea, which makes up more than 90% of the planet's living space, is a realm of permanent, unending midnight. In this vast midnight zone, there is no day or night, no seasons, just an eternal cold quiet where creatures have evolved to live slowly and efficiently in the dark. It is a world that operates on an entirely different rhythm than ours, a massive, silent kingdom that has remained dark and undisturbed for hundreds of millions of years. It is humbling to realize that our sunlit world is just a thin, bright wrapper around a predominantly dark and quiet planet. Deserts can explode into color after a rare, gentle rain. Some of the driest deserts on Earth may look completely lifeless for years, but their sands are often filled with billions of dormant seeds waiting patiently for the right moment. When a rare, soaking rain finally arrives, these landscapes can magically transform overnight into vibrant carpets of wildflowers that stretch to the horizon. It is a sudden, glorious celebration of life, a fleeting super bloom that paints the barren ground with purples, yellows, and pinks before the desert slowly returns to its quiet slumber. It is a beautiful reminder that life is always present, even when it is hidden, patiently waiting for the gentle signal that it is safe to emerge and flourish. Earth is constantly being dusted by tiny particles from space. Every day, our planet gently sweeps up roughly 100 tons of microscopic cosmic dust as it travels through its orbit around the Sun. These tiny particles are the ancient leftovers from comets and pulverized asteroids, drifting silently down through the atmosphere to settle unnoticed on our rooftops, our streets, and in the deepest ocean sediments. If you sweep a magnet through the dust in your rain gutters, you might find tiny, perfectly spherical micrometeorites that have traveled billions of miles to land on your home. It means we are all constantly being lightly sprinkled with the ancient history of the solar system, a gentle, invisible rain of stardust that connects us directly to the wider universe. Violent volcanic eruptions can create long-lasting, vibrant sunsets worldwide. When a massive volcano erupts with enough force, it can inject millions of tons of sulfur dioxide gas high into the calm stratosphere, far above the weather. These gases quickly condense into tiny sulfate aerosols that slowly spread around the entire globe, forming a thin, invisible veil that can linger for years. As sunlight passes through this high-altitude haze, the varying wavelengths are scattered in unusual ways, often painting the evening skies with intensely vivid hues of purple, fiery orange, and deep blood red. It is a mesmerizing example of global connectivity, where a geological event in one remote corner of the world can silently enhance the beauty of twilight for every person on the planet for months on end. Our planet is actually smoother than a regulation billiard ball. If you could shrink the Earth down to the size of a pool ball held in your hand, it would feel incredibly smooth, almost perfectly glass-like to the touch. Despite the towering majesty of Mount Everest and the terrifying depths of the Mariana Trench, these features are astonishingly tiny when compared to the sheer, immense scale of the entire planet. The distance from the deepest trench to the highest peak is less than 1/100th of the Earth's total diameter, a variation so minute that if you ran your fingertip over this shrunken Earth, you would not even be able to feel the Himalayas. It is a humbling realization that corrects our human-scale perspective, showing that our world is truly a near-perfect sphere, with only the very slightest roughness to its vast surface. There are ancient forests that have been turned entirely into colorful stone. In certain quiet desert regions, you can find entire forests where towering ancient trees have been perfectly preserved, not as wood, but as solid, glittering rock. Millions of years ago, these trees fell and were quickly buried by volcanic ash or sediment, which cut them off from the oxygen that causes decay. Over countless centuries, groundwater rich in silica gently seeped into the wood, replacing every individual organic cell with pure mineral crystal, perfectly preserving the finest details of the bark and growth rings in brilliant reds, yellows, and purples. It is a magnificent form of geological immortality, where fleeting biological life is transmuted into enduring, beautiful stone that can last effectively forever. Earth has a heartbeat of continuous electrical resonance between the conductive surface of the planet and the charged ionosphere high above. There exists a gigantic global electromagnetic cavity that constantly resonates with low-frequency energy. Triggered by the thousands of lightning strikes happening every second around the world, these electromagnetic waves, known as Schumann resonances, circulate endlessly around the globe, creating a steady background hum at roughly 8 cycles per second. This frequency is remarkably similar to the alpha waves of a relaxed human brain, leading to poetic thoughts that all life on Earth has evolved while bathed in this soothing, planetary-scale electrical rhythm. It is a silent, invisible pulse that has been beating steadily since the atmosphere first formed, a unifying frequency that envelops everything that lives here. Some clouds shine at night with a mysterious electric blue light. High on the very edge of space, far above ordinary weather clouds, exist rare and beautiful formations known as noctilucent, or night-shining Rosan clouds. These ethereal, rippled sheets of ice crystals are so high up, roughly 50 miles above the surface, that they can still catch the sunlight long after the ground below has fallen into deep night. They appear as ghostly, shimmering veils of electric blue and silver seemingly glowing of their own accord against the black star field, usually visible only during the quiet summer months near the poles. They are the highest clouds on Earth, silent sentinels floating on the very boundary between our atmosphere and the vacuum of space, painting the dark with delicate icy light. The grandest living structure on Earth is visible from space. Stretching for over 1,400 miles along the coast of Australia lies the Great Barrier Reef, a vibrant underwater kingdom so immense that it can be clearly seen by astronauts orbiting far above. It is not a single geological feature, but a vast collection of billions of tiny living coral polyps that have slowly built their calcium carbonate homes upon the skeletons of their ancestors over millions of years. This means the largest structure on our entire planet was built not by human hands or tectonic forces, but by tiny, quiet sea creatures working together in unimaginably vast numbers. It is a breathtaking testament to the power of small, persistent life to shape the very geography of the world on a massive scale. Rainbows can sometimes form peacefully in the moonlight. While we usually associate rainbows with brilliant sunshine following a storm, they can also appear during the quiet calm of a bright full moon night. These moonbows are formed by the exact same principles of reflection and refraction in water droplets, but because moonlight is so much fainter than sunlight, they are incredibly delicate and rare. To the human eye, they often appear as ghostly white arches in the dark sky, their faint colors only revealed in long exposure photographs that can gather enough light. They are magical, secretive cousins to the daylit rainbow, appearing only when the night is perfectly still, the moon is bright, and the air is filled with gentle moisture. Vast underground networks of fungi act as Earth's natural recycling system. Hidden within every inch of healthy soil is an unbelievably dense, microscopic web of fungal mycelium, the true living fabric of the land. These fine white threads work tirelessly in the dark, breaking down fallen leaves, old wood, and dead organic matter, transforming death back into the raw nutrients needed for new life. Without this quiet, invisible digestive system, the world would quickly be buried under mountains of undecayed debris, and forests would starve for lack of varied nourishment. It is a ceaseless, silent process of renewal that keeps the great wheel of life turning, ensuring that nothing is ever wasted and that the earth remains perpetually fertile and ready for new growth. Our atmosphere is very slowly leaking into space. Though gravity holds our air tightly, Earth is constantly losing a tiny stream of lightweight gases, like hydrogen and helium, from the very top of the atmosphere into the vacuum of space. This atmospheric escape is a grand, incredibly slow exhalation that amounts to roughly 90 tons of material every day, a negligible amount compared to the vast total mass of our air. It is a gentle reminder that our planet is not a perfectly sealed container, but actively interacts with the space around it, slowly breathing out its lightest elements over billions of years. It is a natural, balanced process that has been happening since the dawn of the world, a quiet planetary sigh that will continue for eons to come. Some places on Earth have stayed lush and rainy for millions of years. In certain unique geographical pockets, largely within the deepest rainforests, local weather patterns can create conditions of almost perpetual humidity and frequent rainfall that have persisted for incredibly long periods. Geologists believe that some of these ancient rainforests may have remained wet and forested for tens of millions of years, creating arguably the most stable land environments on the entire planet. In these lush, dripping sanctuaries, life has been able to evolve in uninterrupted peace, without ever facing the stress of a severe drought or freezing ice age. They are calm, green time capsules, where the gentle, rhythmic sound of falling rain has been an unbroken backdrop to life since the time of the dinosaurs. Massive ice sheets can slowly depress the Earth's crust. During the Great Ice Ages, when glaciers miles thick covered much of North America and Europe, their unimaginable weight actually pushed the continental crust down into the softer mantle below. Now that the ice has melted, lands like Scandinavia and Canada are very slowly rebounding, rising back up a fraction of an inch each year in a process known as isostatic rebound. It is as if the Earth is a giant, slow-motion memory foam mattress that is still recovering from the heavy weight that was lifted thousands of years ago. It shows us the Earth is patient and yielding, remembering the grand pressures of its past and slowly, gently returning to its natural, unburdened shape over millennia. The Earth is a giant recycler of its own seafloor. The ocean floors are actually the youngest parts of the Earth's surface because they are constantly being created at mid-ocean ridges and destroyed at deep-sea trenches, in a grand cycle that takes about 200 million years. Hot magma rises to form new crust, which then slowly travels across the ocean basin like a giant conveyor belt, before sinking back into the hot mantle to melt again. This means the seemingly permanent ocean floor is actually a transient feature, a slow-moving skin that the Earth is continuously refreshing and renewing. It is a magnificent self-cleaning process that ensures the planet never becomes geologically stagnant, always bringing fresh material from the deep interior to the surface world. Antarctica hides hundreds of active volcanoes beneath its ice. We think of Antarctica as a frozen, quiet wasteland, but scientists recently discovered it is home to one of the largest volcanic regions on Earth, buried deep beneath the massive western ice sheet. There are nearly 100 known volcanoes hidden there, sleeping silently under miles of solid ice, their heat occasionally creating secret networks of warm, liquid lakes between the ground and the glacier above. It paints a surreal picture of fire and ice coexisting, where the intense geothermal heat of the Earth's interior meets its coldest exterior surface in total darkness. It reminds us that the Earth's fiery heart is active everywhere, even beneath the deepest, coldest, most remote blanket of white snow on the planet. The oceans are slightly salty because of ancient rain washing over rocks. The saltiness of the sea is not an accident, but the result of billions of years of gentle rain falling on the land and slowly wearing away the rocks. As rain washes over mountains and plains, it dissolves tiny amounts of mineral salts and carries them into rivers, which eventually flow into the grand destination of the ocean. Once there, the water evaporates to form new rain clouds, but the tiny pinch of salt is left behind, slowly accumulating over geological eons to create the briny deep we know today. Every drop of ocean water holds a faint, salty memory of the mountains and continents it once washed over on its long journey to the sea. In the deep ocean, it sometimes snows. Marine snow. In the sunless depths of the ocean, far below where plants can grow, the primary source of food is a ceaseless, gentle drift of organic particles falling from the bright surface world above. This marine snow consists of tiny remnants of dead plankton, dust, and other biological detritus, slowly fluttering down through the dark water like a never-ending winter snowfall. It can take weeks for a single flake to reach the abyssal seafloor miles below, creating a soft, nutrient-rich blanket of ooze that sustains the strange, slow-moving creatures of the deep. It is a beautiful, quiet connection between the sunlit world of waves and wind and the silent, immobile world of the deepest abyss. Certain rare rocks can naturally float on water. While we intuitively know that rocks are heavy and sink, volcanic eruptions can sometimes create a miraculous stone known as pumice that is light enough to float. This rock forms when superheated, frothy lava full of gas bubbles cools incredibly quickly, trapping millions of tiny air pockets inside the solid stone, making it less dense than water. After large ocean eruptions, vast rafts of floating pumice stones can drift peacefully across thousands of miles of open ocean for years, sometimes even carrying small animals or plants to new islands. It is a marvelous geological paradox, a stone born from violent fire that ends up sailing gently across the cool blue sea like a cork. Life has survived at least 5 major planetary resets. The history of life on Earth is not an unbroken upward line, but a resilient story of surviving at least 5 catastrophic mass extinction events over hundreds of millions of years. Each time the world faced extreme volcanic winters, asteroid impacts, or climate shifts, life managed to hold on in quiet, sheltered pockets, eventually re-emerging to flourish again in new and wondrous forms. These moments of great silence were always followed by magnificent periods of renewal, proving that life is incredibly tenacious and capable of adapting to almost anything the universe throws at it. It is a deeply reassuring history, showing that our biosphere has an innate, powerful capacity to heal and regrow, no matter how devastating the loss may seem at the time. The Earth's rotation causes winds to gently curve across the globe. If the Earth did not spin, winds would simply blow in straight lines from high pressure to low pressure. But our planet's rotation adds a beautiful complexity known as the Coriolis effect. This invisible force gently deflects moving air to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere, creating the grand spiraling patterns of clouds we see on weather maps. It is what gives hurricanes their signature spin and what directs the steady trade winds that have carried sailors across oceans for centuries. It means that every breath of wind you feel is physically connected to the grand, steady rotation of the entire planet as it turns in space. Astronauts often experience a profound cognitive shift when seeing Earth. Many space travelers report a deeply moving, transformative experience when they first see our planet from orbit, a phenomenon known as the overview effect. Floating in the silent void and seeing the Earth as a fragile, glowing blue ball protected by a paper-thin atmosphere often creates an overwhelming sense of unexpected emotion and connection to all humanity. They see a world without borders, a single unified living system hanging in the infinite blackness, which often leaves them with a permanent, deep sense of stewardship and peace. It is the ultimate realization of our shared home, a perspective that instantly dissolves conflicts and stresses into a feeling of pure awe and protective love for our wondrous vessel. Our home is the only known place in the universe where life exists. After scanning thousands of distant worlds and listening to the quiet static of the cosmos for decades, Earth remains the sole confirmed sanctuary of life in the endless expanse of space. As far as we know, we are the only inheritors of consciousness, the only eyes that can see the stars, and the only minds that can wonder about them, drifting alone in a vast, quiet universe. This solitude is not frightening, but rather makes our shared existence here infinitely more precious and miraculous. We are all crewmates on a singular, magnificent living lifeboat, voyaging together through the dark, holding the only known spark of awareness in the entirety of creation. And so, our journey through the magnificent world of Earth comes to a gentle close. We have traveled from its fiery, ancient birth to its calm, blue present, exploring the deep rhythms that have shaped it over billions of years. It is a world of stunning resilience and intricate balance, a place where rock, water, air, and life have woven together into a complex, self-sustaining tapestry that has endured through eons of silence and change. As we rest here tonight, we can take deep comfort in knowing that we are held by a planet that is ancient, stable, and incredibly hospitable, a proven sanctuary that has nurtured life through every conceivable challenge. If you're still awake, that's all right. Just stay here with the music and let your thoughts drift wherever they want to go. But if your eyes are heavy, let the stories of Earth carry you gently into rest. Sleep well. Good night.